Hello, everyone. I'm Bonita from Pennies to Dollars, and welcome today where we're going to talk about what we can do when things go awry. Now, awry is an older word that we don't hear so often anymore, but the definition is that it goes the wrong way. The definition is that it is turned or twisted to one side. That's what awry means. So it means wrong. Things go wrong. And what can we do to get ourselves back on track when those things happen? I share things with you as they happen to me. So I felt like this was an important topic because even though I'm retired, things do still occasionally go wrong. And I had about, I don't know, 24 hours of things that were just going wrong. And when I sat down at the end of the day trying to get myself back on track, I said, what was the best thing that happened to me today? And the best thing that happened to me is I was pulled over by a cop. That was the best thing. So let's get started today and talk about what we can do when things go awry. So when the cop pulled me over, I was like, what is the matter? Because I knew I wasn't speeding. And he said, you have a expired tag. And I go, what? And he said, yeah, it says 2023. I'm thinking, what happened? Did the sticker fall off? And so he said, I just need to see your registration to show that you paid for your tag. So I get into my glove box. And as usual, a lot of things are stuffed in your glove box, right? But I laid my hand on it just like that. And would you know, the sticker was still on the registration. For some reason, I paid for it, threw it in the cubby hole, never thought about it again. It was about 100 degrees, and he said, why don't I put it on for you so you don't have to get out of the car because it's hot? And I said, thank you so much. He said, have a great day, drive safe. And I just laughed as I drove away because I thought, this is the best thing that happened to me today. And I had to laugh about it. And I realized at that point that if we can focus on what is the best thing that happened today, not what are all the things that went wrong, it sure can turn our perspective around and help us get a hold on it. You always hear people say, do you want the bad news or the good news first? And sometimes they pick the bad news and sometimes they pick the good news. I think from now on, I'm always going to pick the good news. Sometimes when we have a lot of things going wrong, we will look to assign blame or reasons why things go wrong. And we try to make sense of it. But a lot of times, what happened just happened. And if we can change it, great, change it. But if we can't, then we should just accept it and go on. And that leads me to the serenity prayer, which reads, God grant me the ability to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And this truly applied in my 24 hours. It's so easy to double down on what's wrong and start focusing on all of the negativity, which will build frustration and anger and say, this is wrong and this is wrong and now this is wrong. And you just get yourself more worked up. We start focusing on all of the areas that we're dissatisfied with, and we have to recognize that and stop the roll. Sometimes we will just focus on everything that is going wrong. And this is definitely the wrong way to handle it because those emotions and that frustration and that anger will just snowball. And then come evening, you don't feel like you can sleep. You're so worked up. You're so frustrated. Sometimes your head feels like it's going to explode. And we have to somehow recognize that and get ourselves back into the present. And that's what I did yesterday. I stopped and I said, no one died today. Yes, some things went really wrong and I wish that they hadn't. Can I change them? Maybe tomorrow after a good night's sleep, I'll see if I can change some of them. But tonight, I'm going to relax. I'm going to be in the moment and I'm going to let it go. A lot of things work out in our lives, and we forget that in those moments. We forget how many things work out. And if we stop and think about it, things work out more often than they don't work out. But the things that don't work out feel bigger, feel insurmountable, feel like they are life stopping at times. We can get in our own heads, negative or positive, and getting in our heads when we're already negative is really hard to get it turned around. But these thoughts helped me get back on track. And so I'm hoping that by sharing my experience, they will help you. And I realized what power we have in our own happiness. So, a couple of the things without going into too much personal detail that went wrong is we had already planned this Georgia trip. We had the airline tickets booked. We booked them one way tickets. We also booked them with no refunds to get the cheapest rate. And then we get a text from my son saying things have gone awry and my grandson is not going to graduate on the day that we thought he was going to graduate. Well, the Airbnb was booked by my daughter in law. All these plans had already been made and paid for. And we were all just going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Well, my daughter in law had booked the travel insurance, so it wasn't a problem for her to get her flight canceled and to get the Airbnb refunded. But we had not done that. So my husband said, I can call and see if I can get a refund. I said, I know one of those tickets was not refundable. And he said, well, let me just try. So he gets on there and calls on both of the one way tickets. And no, they're not refundable. But guess what? They gave us a credit for both of them. And as I shared with you, we plan on taking a trip in April and we are going to fly for that trip. So now we have credits towards those airplane rides and they'll already be prepaid by the time April rolls around. So that's kind of a hidden blessing. I didn't know you could get a credit for something that was non-refundable. So I wanted to share that with you. And that gave us a lot of relief. And I was really glad that I hadn't made airline flight tickets ahead of time as well, because that was only his that we had to cancel. So that was one less thing that we had to deal with. I also had an issue with the nursing home where my brother is staying, and there were some issues. I handle his health and finance. They seemed very insurmountable, and they may still be. But I stopped and I said, you know, he's okay, and the nursing home's going to work with me. I can get through this one way or the other. I'm not going to let this derail my retirement. I'm not going to let it derail my summer. I'm going to handle it if I can. If I can't, I'm going to let it go and we'll just deal with it that way. I'm not going to let this ruin everything going forward from this point or totally ruin the rest of my week. And doing that and making that conscious decision that I wasn't going to let that have more power over me than it really deserved helped me a lot. Yes, I had an afternoon. I was livid, but I'm better today because that cop pulled me over. I saw the good and the positive in him pulling me over, him being super kind, big smile, and that changed the course of my day. And that's why I try to share with you. Sometimes just a smile of a stranger can change the course of your day. So I encourage everyone to be that smile for others. So I just wanted to share that with you today and get your thoughts on what do you do when your plans seem derailed or something happens that just totally knocks you for a loop, and it's something that you're probably letting have more power than it really deserves. What do you do to stop that snowball effect on getting more angry, more frustrated? How do you allow that event to take less power and less happiness from you? and get back on track. I hope this video has been helpful to you, and if it has, please give me a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next video.